This is the E-commerce Brain Trust, a podcast about building momentum online for established consumer brands. Join our hosts and their expert guests for high-level conversations about e-commerce strategies, trends, and innovations. Access our brain trust and boost your brand's e-commerce potential.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Retail Roundup. I'm Jordan Ripley, sitting in for Julie Spear today as your host. We will recap all the retail industry news from the past month. Today, I have Pat Petriello, Director of Retail Marketplace Strategy, joining me as co-host. Welcome, Pat.
Thanks, Jordan. Excited to be here. Normally, I'm in the hot seat. I feel like today I got to actually dish it out a little bit, but maybe sprinkle a little intel there as well.
That's right. As a fellow host, welcome to the cold seat. It's a nice place to sit.
Yeah. So if you're filling in for Julie, am I you?
Yeah. If you could mimic my vocal pauses and kind of pattern, that'd be nice. Okay.
Can't do it.
On the real knowledgeable hot seat, we have both Armin to dive deep on ops and organic. We've got Ross to cover all things media. Of course, welcome back, Armin and Ross. Great to have you.
Thanks, guys. Good to be back.
Yeah, great to be here.
Ross, appreciate you joining with 3 sick kids at home. I feel like that should get a medal unto itself. Well done, I think.
I'm ready for more awards. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's perfect. This is our very last retail roundup of the year. We've had a great year covering the news, but it doesn't mean it will be a light episode. Lots of stuff to cover today, so we'll get right into it. Armin, as the person who's latest in the day, time zone wise, you get to start. That's an arbitrary rule that I just made up. There was a lot of buzz this past month when we, at least in my opinion, when we caught word of this thing called the Seller Challenge. I feel like Amazon usually gives like very basic names to things it rolls out. Seller Challenge has a little bit of excitement to it. I, of course, love American football, and I would love a system where somebody gets to throw red flags at seller support to challenge the ruling on the field. I don't think that's how this functions, but Armin, please bring us up to speed. What is the Seller Challenge? How does it work? Is it going to make brands' lives better?
Yeah, the analogy is pretty close.
Okay.
There are just like some rules and restrictions, the Amazon square of creativity.
Sure.
So yeah, the Seller Challenge actually gives sellers the ability to just request an enhanced review of specific enforcements or decisions that Amazon makes. There is a requirement though. So the first thing you need to be eligible for is what I call AHA. So it's Account Health Assurance. So AHA eligible, which is basically an extra layer of protection. So when you're Account Health Assurance eligible, this means if you get a deactivation potentially on the account, if there's some compliance issue or violation that you make as a seller, instead of suspending your account or closing your account, Amazon gives you the opportunity to provide documentation, like just respond back and work with Amazon together to actually achieve a resolution to the issue instead of just suspending you right away and then you go back to trying to reinstate your account. So this is kind of the first.
What allows you to become eligible for AHA?
Yeah, there's a scoring system, of course. Good question. So Amazon, as for everything else, like they have a score. The threshold is 250 points, where basically you need to just be compliance, historical compliance, less violations, or if you have a repetitive violation, then Amazon dings you even more. So basically, it's a reward system in a way where if you're compliant and doing well, your score will be up and you'll be AHA eligible. And This opens up the door for the Seller Challenge, which is just that kind of enhanced review system where you can actually request Amazon to review an issue. But again, there are requirements. So you cannot just challenge Amazon without attempting to resolve the issue in just regular processes. That's first. Like there's no spamming allowed. So you only get 3 seller challenges initially. And there's even a replenishment system where every 6 months, if you use the challenge, it will get replenished in 6 months from there. And then another one is you cannot challenge account health deactivations. It's only listing level enforcement. So, your ASIN gets suspended. There's just like your bestseller is flagged for something, some compliance issue and stuff like that. And also, you can only challenge once per enforcement. So you cannot use all your 3 challenges for that big issue that you have. Only one. Also, if you have 3 challenges open, you can have them all activated for separate issues. They can be combined, but not for the same issue. So I feel like this is a very welcome change. We all know how Amazon support can be difficult to manage and deal with. So this gives you this additional layer of I can actually reach what we used to call the captive team, which is
I was gonna ask, like, does this bypass standard tier one?
I guess that's actually the team you get when you escalate this. So you would get like typically a US based team member who will actually read everything you send. And speaking of that, it's one of those things you need to like use wisely. So one shot, one opportunity. Don't lose yourself in the moment.
Yes. Don't waste this on months.
It's like you just have to collect your evidence. You have to have your supporting documentation before you even submit this, because it's three challenges that you have, basically 6 throughout the year if you time them well. And speaking of timing, I would just say, whoever's listening, like always say one for that most critical issue that you might have on your bestseller. So if it by any chance gets suspended, and you have that luxury to actually save one challenge, save it and keep it for these like super critical issues. And then for the other 2, I would say try to use them if you need them, of course, like by March, April. So come Q4, like October, you actually have, this is one of the biggest issues happen. So save those or just replenish them by October or so to actually challenge potential issues that happen just before the busiest time of the year.
It's really reminding me of sports.
I know. I was like, you really have to head coach your account and understand, okay, I don't want to save it until the last 2 minutes of the game, but I want to use it. The metaphor was weirdly apt here. Okay, amazing. Thank you, Armin.
That's very cool. I'm very curious to see, as there's been healthy skepticism, but I think any change in the positive has been welcome, at least from the comments on LinkedIn. I know this is new. I'm actually really curious once we have some like data under our belt to see what the efficacy is. Anytime expectations get raised, it's the hope that kills you. It's really interesting to see how it goes. Next topic here, we'll move into media a bit. And this is not nearly as dramatic as being able to throw a challenge flag. Or if we have any European listeners, my first thought went to VAR for any of my soccer friends out there. So I just made the VAR box. That's home for me. I want to move to our attention to the ad side of the business. So Ross, you'll be up here to talk about, and this is hot off the press, the ability to leverage. Amazon just did a partnership integration with Nielsen measurement. And so what this does is it gives the ability for Amazon DSP advertisers to leverage Nielsen audiences within Amazon DSP for programmatic media buys, as well as within AMC, Amazon Marketing Cloud, for audience creation and measurement. Nielsen is essentially a household name and has been forever in the media measurement game. It's about as reputable as it gets. So this seems like a notable partnership, although it's flown under the radar in part just because of the time of the year that we're at. I think this could be really exciting. And I also like to think about this in the broader context of what Amazon has done recently in just simplifying things. So Ross, I know this is fresh, but what's your take on this partnership? How do you think it might work? And how do you think that we might be able to implement this to basically make brands' lives better?
I think there's 3 things going on here, and only one of those actually makes brands' lives better. But I think the other 2 cement and solidify Amazon DSP in its development. So on the one hand, the inclusion of the Nielsen audiences like at a click brings Amazon in line with the Trade Desk and DV360, like other programmatic display platforms. You used to be able to do this you could do this with Amazon in the past, but it required like a bunch of in the weeds, like setting up the data pipelines and making special requests. And
it was like custom API call integration.
Custom API calls. And it was heavy. Yeah, it was you had to be very technically savvy. And so they've done away with that. And so that brings the ADSP like up to the same level as where Trade Desk and DV360 are. So that's like on the one side. On the other hand, one of the criticisms of retail media in general is that there hasn't been nearly enough good, consistent measurement incorporated. And so brands are always just relying on whatever the advertiser is telling them about how effective it is, or like who they're reaching, or what the ROAS is. So you're like, yeah, I guess I trust this in like a black box as long as my sales are going up. But like, how do I verify it? Partnering with Nielsen, I think, brings that to the table as well, because Nielsen very much is the industry standard for tracking media consumption. So bringing that name into the ADSP sphere is like another, I think, really important logo to have in the ADSP pitch deck overall. Now, I don't know how like important this is. It was reported recently that Omnicom moved something like 25% of their programmatic spend into ADSP this quarter from the Trade Desk. So it's like the big moves have already been happening. But I think this just cements ADSP in its development. So those are the first two things, like bringing it up to the level with the trade desk, making it making it more legitimate. Making it more legitimate. And then the third one is, ease of access to the third-party segments. And the third-party segments are really interesting because we've always said of Amazon DSP that it's their first-party audiences that make them really unique. So we can negate current purchasers. That means all ads are like driving more incremental reach and more incremental sales. But also Amazon has really good data on who's in market for what, or who's shopping for what, or like what their life cycle is, or what their lifestyle persona looks like based on all the data that they have about them. That's good. But it also is like there's limited reach with how far you can go with just Amazon's data. There's so much more data out there that's available, and bringing Nielsen's third-party audiences in now allows even more ad buys to happen in just one place, which is the Amazon DSP. So that does make brands' lives a lot easier. If there's a particular audience segment that they really love, that they've been utilizing for the trade desk, and like they've been getting hosed on fees, now they can move that over to Amazon. And Amazon's only charging 1% for those fees. And that's a huge discount. So Amazon is really trying to bring the customers in at this time.
I think your point is really well taken about those third party. And when I say those words for anybody listening who immediately jumps into thinking third party versus vendor, what we're talking about here is media supply. So there's Amazon owned and operated, as Ross mentioned, right? Those are your Fire TV, your Kindle, those are your Prime Video, rather, Freevee, IMDb. But then the third party, and we've just seen these, I think we had a podcast recently or 100 years ago, it's hard to tell, where we talked about the integrations, Roku with Disney, with Netflix, opportunities to even advertise in the Olympics and NBC. And Ross, I think you just made a really good point about how this, for Amazon to walk in a room and to make a pitch for somebody's brand and media budget and be like, this is about the open internet. This is not just about reaching people who are browsing and buying on Amazon. This is reaching people everywhere, and now we can measure it. Yeah, that's really exciting.
Mm-hmm. I think the reputational play here is important too that you mentioned, Ross, because I feel like you look at any sort of long in the tooth media industry type person that's been in it for 30 years. Now they're a CMO somewhere. And it's like, they didn't start their career in retail. A lot of those folks started at a Nielsen or Nielsen adjacent firm and have then now moved to a Profitero or their leading brand site or something like that. So that person understands Nielsen and the reputational play. And now that makes it more palatable to the CMO. That seems compelling to me.
And it also is in line. Nielsen is really well known for measurement in general, but where you would know Nielsen best from is they're actually surveying people about what they're watching on television or what they're listening to on the radio and using that data to feed back to advertisers how effective their ads are. That's really cool stuff. Amazon is basically taking that entire ecosystem of TV and radio and moving it into streaming TV and audio ads, digital audio. You need Nielsen in that sense to plug that gap.
It is interesting. Maybe this is a selfish perspective because I'm thinking about it from our worlds in the agency and advertiser space is over the last 15 or 20 years going from how do we bid on a keyword to show up in a sponsored product placement to we're now all talking about how to be streaming TV media buyers with complex targeting and measurement. And I think that's the future or even the near present of where we're all going is like we're buying streaming TV media and Netflix ads. And it's a new world.
Yeah.
Armin, before your hot seat gets too cold, I do want to put things back over on your plate. Been a big past month or so on the ops side of Amazon. I feel like every month is a big month, but things that have impacted both 1P and 3P. On the 3P side, we saw Seller Fulfilled Prime, like a little bit of a nuanced take, but that eligibility split into sizing tiers. So I'm curious to dig into that. We also saw something called FBM Ship Plus, where we continue to slap plus signs on basically every program. And then on the 1P, this was something that got a lot of excitement. That's, I would say, much like my garden, very much in the weeds here, but an early ability to protest or I guess dispute invoices for shortages on the vendor side. So can you give us a little quick whirlwind tour of these three updates and what they mean?
Yeah. When it comes to SFP, Amazon has been refining this like in the last couple of months. As you said, it's been like 3-4 podcasts and potentially twice we mentioned SFP. It is a really good addition where performance is now judged independently for like standard, oversized, and extra large items. So we have this size tier approach where excelling in one doesn't guarantee eligibility in others. And at the same time, if you have one size tier that's really performing well, it doesn't get affected by the stragglers if you have others in your catalog. So a related feature to mention here is something called shipping setting automation. So enabling this in Prime shipping templates will basically show customers specific delivery dates. So this is where it's actually reflecting on the customer side. When you have this set up, instead of a date range where like it says ships from X to Z, now it will show a specific delivery date to the customer, which obviously is a benefit for the customer, but then also for Amazon and seller because the conversion rates will go up if that shipping time or delivery is favorable. On the other hand, like for sellers as well, there's the benefit of enabling this. It's called like on-time delivery rate protection. Basically, what this means, if you fulfill these criteria, we will not ding your performance if your metrics drop, if you follow the instructions that we give you. And the requirements are you need to purchase, again, Amazon has a benefit, right? Purchase shipping labels from Amazon Buy Shipping or Vico. That's their, again, ecosystem. And you have to ship things on time. So do your thing properly. Let us do the logistics or whoever the carrier is. And then if something's late, it will not impact your performance. So that's the SFP thing. Like when it comes to FBM Ship Plus, so there's some relation to SFP here. I feel these one day will merge, like it will become the one thing. Right now, FBM Ship Plus is a fulfillment solution for sellers who manage their own shipping FBM. But the design behind it is just to boost sales by providing that faster and more accurate delivery dates to customers. So again, like speaking to that kind of expectation from the customer side, when am I getting this order fulfilled or delivered? So once you enroll in FBM Ship Plus, Amazon basically sets your maximum handling time to 1 business day only. So like you just have a day to ship. And then you need to use their partnered expedited shipping services for this. There is a cashback you get for this. So if you use this more expensive shipping, you will get some money back. But what I feel like is happening right now, this is only available for China sellers. So I see it more as a kind of Amazon haul competing with Temu. Let's give people like even a shipping delivery date so it's even more competitive kind of thing. But over time, there is a promise where they say this will be rolled out across other marketplaces and like domestically as well. And this is where I feel if FBM Ship Plus is available in US to US customers, right, that's basically SFP, right? So it's kind of like achieving the same thing. So we'll see. Right now, it's only incentivizing China sellers to ship to US and like some part of Europe to get this kind of like clear delivery dates. And then the vendor side, the early shortage invoice disputes. So it's a new feature, as you said, like quite exciting, but it's also disappointing because we tested it. Like right now, it's not really working as intended.
Okay.
Whoever's listening, don't use it right now. What we've seen happen is basically you can queue up. The feature does the following. Like you can queue up a shortage dispute well before it's actually eligible for dispute. So Amazon requires you to give them 35 days before they actually match and find the items that are missing. And previously what we had to do is like basically track and play with like dates when the PO happened, like when was it delivered and all of that. So we would time our dispute after the 35 days have passed. Now you can just queue it up. There's a specific dashboard to it as well, which shows all these queued up disputes. But in reality, what happens is if your dispute is rejected or approved, whatever the status is, approved, great. But if it's rejected, what we've seen bugging out is like it still shows on your original dashboard, but you cannot redispute. So if you submitted a dispute in advance, now it's stuck in purgatory or whatever, and you cannot act on it anymore because the system still sees it queued up probably, but then it's not feeding into the main dashboard.
I feel like there's a real debate here on whether that's a feature or a bug from it.
Just queue them all up.
And then walk away and never look again.
Walk away. You want to audit it?
I think if designed as intended as a design, a great feature. We'll wait and see. On the first two, see Mike wins on both sides. Better customer experience, a better ship time. Overall, the grand arc of time progress, but some hiccups along the way.
Speaking of the grand arc of time, we've gone too long into this episode without diving into any AI-informed features or product announcements. And there have been a lot of those from Unboxed. So remedying that, I want to jump into the rollout of sponsored prompt becoming more available. We're seeing a lot of chatter about that. And Ross, I'd just like to understand a few things. Like, how do we see this sitting within our existing ad strategies? I know it's new. I don't even know how many advertisers are able to take advantage of it. And what's our take? I guess what's your take on if this is the monetization path for how AI chatbots sell inventory within Amazon, and then also generally as well? The second question is a bit meatier. We'll start with the first.
Yeah, I think that this is a high likelihood to become like a foundational piece of our ad strategy. If you just look at the placements where the Rufus results are popping up right below your sponsored brand banner in search results, it's incredibly prominent. And so it's already going to start siphoning clicks off. People aren't going to be going down to the search results. They're just going to be clicking there. And once you add sponsored listings to that, I think we're very likely to start seeing more sponsored clicks there than we do see in sponsored product ads in general. So I can understand why they've rolled it into the sponsored product, right? The prompts live there because it's potentially maybe going to replace sponsored products or become a really important factor to it. My take on the monetization path for how AI chatbots start to sell inventory, this is for Amazon. Like, if there's a source of clicks that they haven't yet been able to monetize, show me the money. But yeah, I think there's no way that they're not going to try and monetize this, right? As soon as it starts to attract any attention at all, any clicks at all, yeah, they've got to monetize it. I would say when it comes to how we see this rolling out across other platforms, like Walmart also announced that they're going to, I think called Sparky, the name of their AI tool. It's also going to have ads. Instacart also just announced that they're partnering with ChatGPT for like within ChatGPT checkout for your grocery products, which I actually think is a great move on Instacart's behalf. Get in there, get in the flow, like compete with Walmart to be the source of like grocery purchases on Instacart. I think that's really cool. And if I'm being candid, like, while I love that they've introduced sponsored prompts, like, I don't see this as solving the problem of capturing AI traffic in general. Yeah. I still think Amazon is just, I don't know what they're planning on doing here. Just like maybe just jumping over to the next thing. Maybe they're planning on losing this battle and like just winning whatever the next battle is in regards to AI. Because I don't see how this solves the problem of capturing all the traffic that's moving off of Amazon and into ChatGPT to do product discovery.
There is some, I think, benefit of the native AI tool, and they're banking on the fact that people like are locked into Amazon's ecosystem, and not having it available out externally will win that battle. I think that remains to be seen. But the thing I do think about here is like this specific product, how likely it is to succeed is like how native can they make it feel? Like if we think about early Google days and it was like the majority of ads were text ads at the top of search, and then it became a more rich experience with Google Shopping product ads and that sort of thing. So this seems like a little bit of a step back of now I'm back to clicking a recommended prompt and stuff versus clicking a product or something that feels richer. So I could see a world where I'm chatting with Rufus, I'm getting this whole rich ecosystem of advertising that's like pulling in sponsored products and showing me that, less so here's a prompt that you might think about. So we'll see. This is like version 0.1 to me.
Completely, Jordan. I think relevance is key there. If these prompts are pre-addressing concerns or questions or potential barriers for add to cart or conversion for browsers or for shoppers, then it's going to add value. This could also be one of those things where you fast forward, we do this podcast in March and they're just gone with no announcement. I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to stick around. And I do think Amazon's strategy and the bet that they're making is that people will be like Rufus will become their AI shopping assistant, and that in their tool set of AI shopping bot assistants, they'll have ChatGPT for this use case, they'll have Perplexity for this use case. And I think the bet that they're making is that like Rufus will become a household name and be established for all their shopping, with the built-in fact that I think I've had an Amazon account since 2008 or something. And so one of the added benefits is obviously that Rufus has insights into everything I've ever thought about clicking on, browsed, searched within the Amazon ecosystem. Yeah, it's interesting times for sure.
I think if we look at, if we're really scientific about it, Sparky, based on its name alone, destined to fail. That's not a long-term good for a product. Rufus, I don't know, on the edge of like being a really relevant thing that people like.
Sounds like a pet.
Sounds like a pet, so trustworthy. No, I don't know. I guess that's the angle they were going for. Whereas Amazon was like odd and obscure, and you're like, in what context is this again? At the end of the day, it's like Amazon and McDonald's. Those names are just synonymous with a certain experience. we'll see if Rufus becomes that.
I'm just glad they didn't go with Amazon Plus. I'm tired of
right.
We did not solve the entire AI monetization path for our industry. We did get a lot of good knowledge here. Armin, Ross, I appreciate the time. Pat, lovely co-hosting with you. We'll pick it up next year.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks all.